Hey everybody, Sean from Rest to Live here, and we've been talking a lot lately about C3, Palantir, Square, etc. And what I want to do is sort of walk you through the most recent investor presentation from Palantir. My thoughts are that most people don't actually see this; they don't really know what it means or what it's used for. Um, I'm an active angel investor. I generally see lots of reports, I see lots of presentations, I see lots of financials. This is something I thought might be really interesting to take a look at. I am in no way a representative of this company. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not sharing financial advice here. I'm quite literally going to reshare what they shared and provide some color from someone who works in the data, AI, and machine learning industry. So without further ado, let's jump on in. And please, we really would appreciate a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. So without further ado, I don't want to waste any time. It's a long presentation. I'm not going to go over the whole thing. But if you are invested in these kinds of companies or these stocks or these types of cutting edge technologies, you need to understand what it is they do, how they go to market, what it means to go to market in this space. And actually, I'm going to give a lot of credit here. This is a great presentation, very thorough, much more thorough than most sort of edge technology companies. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to jump right into this because I don't want to waste any time. It is a long presentation, as I said. So here we go. I'm just going to switch over my view here. So I'm switching to the actual investor deck that they shared. This was the presentation from Q3. Now, we obviously know Q4 results are coming. That's why I thought this might be a perfect time to review the entire presentation here. I'm trying to configure my window up here on the right-hand side so it's not blocking any information as well. So let's jump right on in. We always know there's a safe harbor. Essentially, what this means is they're covering themselves so that anything that's a projection or a future-based goal, don't make investing, buying decisions, et cetera, things like that. Every company does this. And by the way, I am not, again, representing or recommending this stock. I just want to teach people how to look at an investor presentation here. So here's what we know, right? Pretty cool stuff. In a nutshell, we saw the Q3 revenue grew by 36% year over year to 392 million. So far, so good. We know that the commercial revenue growth also accelerated as we looked out across the quarters. Just some cool facts in here. Added 34 new customers, 46% quarter over quarter customer commercial segment grew. This is something I'll call out for those who are new to looking at these. This is a company that has historically made their money in sort of the defense and the public sector, the federal sort of side of things. They're looking heavily at how they can potentially put more money behind that commercial space. It's pretty interesting stuff here as well. We also knew that they grew their commercial customer count by 135% since, as you can see, December 2020. So pretty cool. They did 54 deals of at least $1 million. So pretty good stuff, right? And 33 of those deals were at least 5 million. And look at this. This is pretty cool when you actually break down the numbers here, because I don't think a lot of people have these visuals. 18 of their deals were over $10 million. That's pretty good. And you can see the trajectory here, right? They're getting more and more deals to grow and become bigger. So as an investor, this is what I'm looking for, right? I want to see the growth. I want to understand how they're trending. I want to understand how that looks across a period of time. I'm not going to go over every single detail here as well, but there's just some key highlights, right? You can see that the adjusted free cash flow is 119 million. And look at this, right? They were in the negative cash flow perspective, now all the way into the positives. So as you see here by this great chart, that's sort of what they're going here from this view as well. So we also know there's some other cool things, right? We talked about that commercial deal growth. We talked about remaining performance obligations. Oftentimes these can refer to things like backlogs. And essentially what this means is there's still just more to be done with their customer base. This can be anything from sales to implementations to executions on those service contracts, et cetera. Another couple of really great things here, right? So we don't have to go and dig into their actual reports and the numbers. They really present it here in a pretty obvious way. So we can see that Q1 to Q3 for 2021, we saw overall revenue growth of 44%, adjusted cash flow of 320, as we already saw, almost a 30% margin, which is pretty great. And they have an adjusted operating income of 349 million. Now, they're going to cover a couple of different areas they focus on here. I don't want to focus on all of them because this will be a 3-hour-long video, so I won't do that. But this is particularly interesting to really think about in terms of what they're doing here. So as they call it out right on the page, right, they're very heavy in the defense industries, right? They're starting to move a lot more into automotive and mobility. They're deep into healthcare, working, as you can see here, with a lot of government agencies. Now, we know the Foundry is one of their sort of core key functional solutions here, right? And as they say, it's the connective tissue that links analytics with operational systems. I'm going to take a pause here. I'm saying this again because I really want to make it clear. I am in no way endorsing them, their stock, what they offer. But I do want to share some perspective because I work in operationalized analytics at scale, or what we call intelligent blanketing. So the idea behind this is we want analytics, the numbers, the machine learning, the drivers to actually step on the gas of operational systems. So when something happens based on analysis, something else will happen then in parallel to that. This is the future of AI. This is operationalized, digestible, executable AI. I'm not saying that they do it better or they do it worse than anyone else, but this is typically the goal of a lot of AI companies now from a platform perspective. When I see a lot of these niche AI vendors, the first concern I always have is like they're solving for a tiny problem that you, myself, or anyone else watching this can probably spend some time and come up with their own solution for and essentially take market share from them. The platform is where it's at. We know that from a day zero company perspective as well, they're doing a lot of things to get away from escape velocity. This is pretty cool stuff as well. We also know that they're just doing more from a scale perspective with data. So just really important things to focus on. So again, right, we know that the key to the platform is the ability to orchestrate these complex API-driven systems. Now, what this means is the ability to reach out and connect to data sources, connect to points of interest, right? Have that sort of be an open and functioning pipeline back and forth. So as new data comes in, more analysis happens, et cetera. It goes both ways and drives that operationability. I'm not going to go too much in this because I think it might be deeper than most people want to hear. But just, again, they're focusing on really big commercial markets, right? Like we can see here that their Apollo piece is really driving towards that SaaS-based business. This is a big deal. Again, a place that I work. These are the things we look for from a SaaS perspective is we have to drive that interoperability, that API first or open API approach, and have data and analytics at scale that also drive operations. So I'll just push on that again, right? They're focusing on all sort of the kind of cool things, right? Crypto and fintech. Obviously, we're looking at the big federal customers here. We can see what they're doing from a constellation perspective. I wanted to get to a couple key points here as well. I'll just go through these quickly. This is one, I just did a video the other day talking about how they've now come out with a certification program and how from an investment perspective, and just for me personally, my own opinion for my own investment, I thought it was great that they're creating a certification program to grow that ecosystem of SIs. Now, what you can see in this previous representation here, government solution integrators can transform EBITDA with Palantir. The idea behind this is that if you are a consultant who works with government agencies, this is yet another way to drive more business for yourself from an implementation and expertise perspective. And it tends to be a high and easy growth way to work with it. So just kind of cool things to call out, right? I'm going to go over some of these really quick because I think the numbers we already saw earlier. I'm just going to click through it because you want to see all the screens here. Couple cool things, right? That adjustment, excuse me, free cash flow. Look at this from a year-over-year perspective, right? From a time comparison, I think I want to call this out too. They're talking Q1 to Q3 against a Q1 to Q3. Note that Q4 is empty in both. In the software business, if you're not involved, let me make sure you cannot possibly misunderstand what I'm about to say. Q4 is the money quarter, okay? So these are great that you're doing real compares of Q1 to Q3 against a Q1 to Q3 because Q4 can skew these numbers massively, massively. A lot of commercial customers know the best time to buy is Q4. That's when publicly traded companies are going to report. That's when they have to do most of their business. And again, I want to call this up that we saw earlier. That 30% margin from an operations perspective, really great. I don't think there's anything in here I haven't covered. I just want to show you guys what these reports actually look like. And if you haven't seen these, I really urge you to start clicking through and understanding like what is in these presentations. How do we get and understand what's in them? You can reach out to companies like these folks anytime you want. So with that, I just want to share this. I want to share some perspective because I work in this world. I know it really well. This is the future right now, right? Operationalized, highly digestible, contextual-based analytics. Now, they're doing it on sort of that edge or that big data perspective. We have other really great companies who are doing it from a sales and a service and a CX perspective. There's just a lot going on in this space. So the challenge for all of us as investors, as intelligent investors, is how do we pinpoint accurately who the likely winners are with some room for interpretation. And I'm saying this with the fact that we've watched a lot of these companies, these growth stocks, get absolutely crushed the past few weeks here as of the recording of this video. So I think it's important to have perspective as to why you got in the first place, what the numbers are telling us, what the growth looks like it could be. Because, intra-month, intra-quarter movements in stock prices, if you're guiding your investments by how something moves over the course of a week, these are the wrong kind of companies to be looking at. These are companies where you have to understand and get a perspective as to what you think the future is going to be, how big and how bright the future might be, as well as your ability to capitalize on that from a stock perspective. So with that, I don't want to really belabor this too much longer than that. I really appreciate you watching. I hope you watched till the end. And if you did, I would love to see a comment that says, watch till the end. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you later. More stuff to come. Have a good afternoon. Bye, all.